Okay, today we're going to learn how to do the disk partition tool that is available through Windows. This is something you would use if you need to install a new hard drive. You can also delete partitions out of the hard drive. You can create partitions. You can initialize a disk. Basically, if you need to clean up a disk, make it available for something else. This is a tool that is built into Windows that allows you to go in and set up the drive or delete the drive. You can also use it for troubleshooting with regards to the USB drive or another hard drive that you may have that's not being registered completely with Windows when you initialize it. And basically it allows you to go in and do some basic troubleshooting with it. So to start off, what you can do is you're going to start a command line, and normally what you do is you come into your search bar and type in CMD, and that'll bring in your command prompt. But what you want to do in order to run this correctly is right click on the command prompt app and do run as administrator. And this will come up and ask you if you want to run it. You go ahead and say yes, and then that will bring up your DOS box. And from here, basically, you type in the command disk part, and there it'll come up with the command line prompt right there. Now you have some menu commands to utilize with this, and essentially what you do is to see what you have installed on your computer, you're going to type in the command list disk. Alright, so right now, as you can see right here, I've got two hard drives installed on my computer. They're labeled as disk 0 and disk 1. And this is kind of important to understand too when you go in to identify which disk you're actually working with, because if you make a mistake you could format the wrong disk, or you can do a clean command and wipe out the entire disk and all your data will be gone. So you have to pay particular attention to which disk you're actually wanting to work with. Now, with that being said, to verify a couple other things, if you go into the file manager and do right click on the PC and click on manage, this will come up with your computer management plugin, and here you can go into disk management, and this is basically where you see the two components. So right now I have two 1 terabyte drives initialized onto my system, and they're labeled disk 0 and disk 1. Well, disk 0 is not my main drive. It's not my C drive. So that is actually my data drive, which is labeled D. My actual operating system disk, or the C drive, is actually disk 1. So again, this is where kind of pay particular close attention to which drive you're actually going to be selecting, because in here you really can identify which disk you're working with, and in the disk part tool, again, they look very similar. One is registered at 953 gigabytes, the other one's registered at 931 gigabytes, and in fact they are two separate serial Samsung M.2 drives. One is a 970, the other one is a 960. So, but they still show up as 1 terabyte drives, but you have to make sure you understand which drive you're working with. So if you know which drive you're working with, then working with this disk part tool makes it extremely it actually makes it a lot easier to work with in regards to which command you're going to be giving it. Okay, for this demonstration I've installed a USB stick to give you an idea of how to select which drive you want to work with. So this is just a Windows boot disk that I have laying around that I know I can recreate. So if I delete all the data that's off it, it's not going to be a problem. So as you see here inside of the computer management plugin, I've got disks 0, disk 1, disk 3. There is no disk 2 with regards to this, so it's 0, 1, and 3. So disk 0 is my data drive, which is my D drive. Disk 1 is my C drive, which is my boot drive, has Windows on it, and then disk 3 is a USB thumb drive, which is only a 16 gigabyte drive, and it's partitioned with FAT32. So if we go back over here to the command prompt and we type list disk again, you'll see now I have disk 0, disk 1, and disk 3. So here you know the disk 3 is my 14 or 16 gig drive, and that is the disk that I want to select. So the command to put in there is cell disk 3. Okay, disk 3 is now a selected disk. So I know that I'm now working with this disk, disk 3, which is my 16 gig USB stick. So if I wanted to clean this disk completely, which is basically wiping out the partition and basically creating an uninitialized disk, I would type in the command clean, and that will wipe everything that's on that drive and get it back to factory defaults. Basically it would be an uninitialized drive. So we give that a few moments. Disk part succeeded in cleaning the disk. Now you'll see back here in the computer management plugin that now I have 14 gigs of unallocated space. So here doesn't say it's formatted or anything like that, and basically it is already initialized, so I know that I can go in here and start working with this disk. So now we can go back here to the disk part and type in list disk again. You'll see that this disk right here has nothing on it, so there's no format on it. So it's not GPT or it's not MBR or anything of that nature. It's now just a unformatted disk. So what we can do is, instead of going on here with the disk partition tool, we can right click on this unallocated drive for a 16 gig drive, and I can create a new simple volume. Okay, so we click next on here. I want to allocate the maximum size, and we'll give it a drive letter F. Okay, and since it's a USB thumbstick and I'm probably going to use it as another boot drive, I'm going to keep it at FAT32, and we'll just call this stick drive. Here we go. Perform a quick format and click next. Gives you the information. Click finish. In a few seconds it should be up and ready. And there we go. Stick drive is F, and it is now ready to receive your files. Okay. And here we go, FAT32 disk, everything is up online. So we go back here to this partition disk again, we hit list disk, and here you go with the drive size and everything else. Alright. Well, I hope that simplified a little bit of things. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure to comment below, and we'll see you next time at the next video.